viewer, good evening and welcome to Spotlight. With me tonight at the studio, three individuals who are working very hard to put a website about the Chaldean heritage. With me, Ryan, Joseph, and Robin. Ryan, we'll start with you. Tell me more about the project. Is it about history? Is it about language? Is it how that idea become, to you guys and go with it?
Sure, it's about all of that. So it's about preserving the cultural record of the Chaldean community in particular, but then also looking at the Christians in the Middle East and preserving their cultural heritage, whether that's through oral history or through documents, photographs, anything that we can collect. We're interested in preserving that, digitizing it, and making it publicly accessible to as many people as possible.
Are you visiting the Middle East, those countries? Where is the
We're not at this point. We're starting with our focus with the community here, the Chaldean community here. We want to establish our protocol, make sure everything is set and in order, and then we do hope to expand our model elsewhere.
I see. Joseph, tell me, is it a website? Is it a book you're writing? Tell me how that idea,
Ultimately, what this will take the form of is a digital repository in the form of a website. We'll be recording oral histories using digital video and audio recording, and we hope to make that available through a digital archive website that allows people to search for individual stories based on subjects, topics, individuals, time recorded, and times discussed. And then ultimately, we would like to see this website used by individuals in the community to engage with their own cultural heritage, but then also by researchers that are studying history or theology or language. And this will be a great platform that will allow them to discover novel information that they wouldn't otherwise have access to.
Robin, are you going back to history? I mean, we know the Chaldean 4,000 years ago, they were existing, and then the Syrian and the Syriac and all that. Are you going to history? Are you going to, if I wanna search who is the Chaldean and all that, be able to go to that website and go to their history and up to date?
Oh yes, absolutely. We will like to have a website that concentrates on the history of on the recent history of the community, but that is a fascinating history of 2,000 years nearly of Christian Chaldean history, and that is also what we're interested in. And there are many websites already that have some content. We'll provide links to content and scanned books, photographs, and other things that can show actually the deep and abiding presence of Chaldeans in Mesopotamia.
I see. Joseph, is that going to be, that website is going to talk about culture, quote about social, quote about how they were thinking that day, that time and all that, or just to trade information?
We're actually hoping to present really deep, engaging personal accounts of everyday life, and this will include memories from childhood, memories of specific locations. And we have a series of questions that we will ask in hopes that we can elicit stories that have meaning to that individual. And we want that because not only do we think the history itself is important, but we think that the experience that that individual had is extremely vital as an artifact of the community, as an artifact of the individual, and as something that is illustrative of the history of that group at a time in a certain place.
I see. How you do it? Are you going to interview people? Are you going to go, for example, we have the pioneer who's been here probably 70, 80, 100 years and sit with them and talk to them and what you were doing and how you were living and all that?
Yes.
How?
Well, we're going to do some of the interviewing, but we're also looking to partner with the community and have people that we can train in the community to do the interviews, because we want the interviews to be done in the languages that the community themselves speak. So whether that's Arabic or Sorith or English, whatever the...
But the website is going to be in English, right?
The website will hopefully potentially be in all three languages.
Oh, great, yeah.
Eventually.
Okay.
We hope, inshallah.
Okay.
But for the time being, we're doing primarily doing the interviews, and then we're also hoping to train community members to do the interviews themselves so that they can go out and collect those interviews with their family members or with their grandmothers and grandfathers and try to help us preserve the history. the interviewers, if the interviewer themselves knows the language and the culture, then what we're going to capture in that interview will be much richer than if I'm asking questions about something that I don't necessarily know about. So we are looking for the community to help us and partner with us. We think of this as a collaborative effort, and that's one of the reasons why, is that we know that the stories will be richer for it.
Good. Robin, are you, for example, visiting the Chaldean Culture Center and the Arab American Museum? There's a lot about the Chaldean, and there's a lot of museum, if it's in Michigan or Washington or anywhere else. Are you going to do that? Are you going to collect those pictures and put them in a website?
Well, we think of ourselves as a supplement to those places, that they exist as physical spaces where people can go and see objects displayed in an interesting way. And they can look at photographs, and they can, for instance, in the Chaldean Cultural Center, which we have visited, they can go back for the full 4,000 years. But what a website can do is give anybody, anywhere, access to similar material that will be digitized but visible as an image, or you can hear someone speaking. And what we hope to do is very similar to what the Cultural Center does, which is to contextualize, to put these records in the context of a very rich community which has existed for so long.
It's going to be the pictures and all that?
Yes, so, we will have photographs and also documents. We will have scanned versions of manuscripts and links to digitized manuscripts, because one of the really interesting things about the Chaldean community is that what a learned community and what a deep tradition of scholarship it has. And this itself goes way back into history, still in Roman times, with wonderful translations of biblical works, for instance, of other works, but also many, many original works having to do with the life of the community. And many of these manuscripts have been digitized. Some of those manuscripts have been lost, but it's possible on a website for people actually to see them and to appreciate certainly stories of home and school and the market, stories of migrating for work, but also the learned tradition, the schools that were such an important part of the Chaldean community.
I see. As a historian and a website, Joseph, are you going to go to the history? Are you going to go, for example, what happened throughout? I mean, I would like, if I want to go to a website, I would like to search about whoever the group is, about their history and what happened to them throughout thousands of years till I know who they are now.
Well, I myself am not a historian. I am a digital librarian, and I'm extremely fortunate to be working with such wonderful scholars. But to answer your question, yes, we do want this to be something that can be looked at as a single piece in a growing network of digitally accessible historical research information. And while we ourselves may not necessarily contain all relevant information for this community or for this language or for this event, we want to be able to link to other communities, to other initiatives, and to other projects that can help to greater contextualize that community or a certain historic event. And I think Ryan can speak to some of the projects that we're looking to team up with, in particular one coming out of Germany.
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, so I'll be going in February to a conference that's going to be focusing on Christians coming out of the Middle East. So Middle Eastern Christians, what are their experiences like? What have they, especially during this recent refugee crisis, what are they experiencing and how is that impacting their lives? And there's several different projects happening in Germany and Austria at the moment where people are working on the ground to do recordings of these refugees. And so we want to partner with them and see if there's ways that we can integrate the information that they're gathering with our website so that we're creating more of a complete picture.
Are you going to talk about the website about the history of migrate and I mean, we're looking at the Christian in the Middle East. 15 or 20 years ago in Palestine there was 35% Christian, today less than 6%. In Iraq there was 1.4 million, now today there is less than 300,000. and again in Syria and Jordan and Egypt, everywhere. Are you going to shade on those?
Yes, we're actually hoping to have a mapping capability built into the website where all the information that we're gathering, the oral histories, the documents, everything like that will be tagged into this map so that you can actually see the migration move throughout chronologically. You will be able to see what's happening in the communities. Robin can talk more about
Robin,
the
are you
map
going
initiative.
to different universities and colleges to collect more information about the history? It's your website, but I would like to see in the website something about history, something about culture, something about Aramaic language, what they are, why they speak in this language.
Well, I'll start with the Aramaic language part, because one of the very important things about our collection is that we wish to collect recordings of people speaking the Aramaic language. The Aramaic language is different from town to town to village to village.
Yes, and just like the Arabic, different dialect between different countries.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right. And so we want to collect examples from different places, and also examples of the language of people who are out in the world, like men who are out working businesses and so forth, but also examples of domestic language, women's stories, for instance, and nursery rhymes, or the Doric Yatha, the long poems that are recited in Aramaic, in Surith. And it's a great opportunity to have those recorded, and then they'll be there and able to be studied by people in other universities. Now, if we could just take one more minute and answer your second question, or your first question. We are teaming up with people from other universities.
Okay.
So we have teamed up with...
And is there information on those universities that you could collect?
That's right, and that will be linked on our website. So we team up with people from Princeton, from Brown, from Yale, from Toronto, and it is possible on a website to team up with many other universities. And we know that the people there are interested, so they will eventually be contributing to a certain degree.
Yeah. Joseph, are you going to interview the people only in Michigan? Or, for example, from San Diego, Michigan, Chicago, Well, I mean, there is the communities today,
absolutely.
Not just in Michigan, we have population in many different states.
The more we meet people in the community and the more people learn about this project, the more we learn about pockets of communities throughout the world. For instance, we know about the community in San Diego. We know about communities in Toronto. We also found out about Chicago, and we found out about a sizable community in Mexico.
That's right.
And these are all locations that we would love to be involved with, and communities that we would love to be engaged with. Not only do we want to, start in a small location where we have the ability to meet people and to discuss with them what they would like to envision for the project, but we also would like this to be something that can be expanded so that if somebody from San Diego says, your project is good, we want to be involved, we can either ourselves go out there and show them how to be involved, or we can simply send them the materials that they would need to be involved and work with them remotely.
Ryan, who's funding this? This is a lot of expense and all that.
It is a lot of expense.
Yes.
We have an initial startup grant.
So you have a grant?
We have a very small initial startup grant.
No, I'm just, because this is a lot of work, a lot of traveling,
Yes. Yes.
So
we've managed to make good use of the initial startup grant, and we're hoping to partner with some other organizations to apply for more grants.
Is that organization belong to the community, or are you talking from the community at large? I mean, for example, the State Department does have that any grant for that, or
Probably might be able to answer that more than I can.
Well, there are grants offered through the government and some through private foundations. And we hope to partner with a Chaldean organization initially to apply for a grant and to allow us to continue our work.
Yeah.
So
you're doing a great work and should have a grant for this kind, for the heritage and culture and all that. You should be able to find a grant.
we hope so very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very much.
Tell me, how long is it going to take? When we could see that website that I could go and visit it?
Sure. We have a website right now that is.
Oh, you do one?
It's just an informational page at this point. We're also working on our demo so that we have a page ready to go as soon as we have stories collected.
So how long do you think by,
Well, we're hoping to do some recordings while we're here. We're here
Okay.
for the weekend. We're hoping to do some recordings while we're here, and then hopefully we'll be able to get them up on the website very shortly.
Do you think you'll be launching the total website, or what you have in mind within a 3 months, 6 months?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Our
Go ahead,
initial
Joseph.
project page should be up within a few months. We are still trying to figure out some of the technical elements of standing up our back-end infrastructure. We're using a platform called Omeka, which was developed by George Mason University in Virginia. And that is a great platform. It's an open access platform that will allow us to host many different files along with their records and other discovery elements such as maps and timelines. This might take a little bit longer to build because we're trying to figure out ultimately where the server space will reside, but we should probably have that up within 6 to 8 months.
I see. Robin, this information you collect, if it's after the website and all that, if a college or institute comes to you and asks you for this kind of information, are you going to share it with them? The website is not going to be all what you're going to collect, information and all that. But if some institute came to you and asked you, your work, can we share it with you? Can we?
Well, I think maybe you're the better person to answer that
Yeah,
question
go ahead,
because
Joseph.
it's a question about accessibility.
Right.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we want the information on the website to be publicly available to whoever wants to use it.
Yes.
However, we do also recognize that scholars, universities, other organizations might have use for our large data sets not put through some sort of website. And we would hope that we would make this information accessible to whomever could make good use of it. So we are hoping to make all this information available through either open access licensing or Creative Commons licensing so that we will not restrict people's use of it, aside from perhaps asking that they don't resell it, so no reuse for commercial purposes. But that's the very nature of digital scholarship. Having access to this information is going to allow people, scholars around the world, researchers, to do things that we could not even possibly dream of doing because they might look at it from a completely different angle, allowing them to see things that we might not be able to.
I see. Ryan, how are you reaching the people?
Well, through your generosity today.
What's the tool you using to reach and,
Well, hopefully through our website, we're getting the word out.
But when you're here, for example, you are here to talk to people.
Yes.
Right.
How are you reaching those people?
We're working through the church right now. So we're working through the church and working through community members and accessing people that way.
I see. Any message, and I'm going to give 2 minutes to each and every one of you, what you need from this community and why you're doing that. And I'll start with you, Robin.
Well, we would hope for enthusiastic community participation because we believe that this is for the community and it will be very valuable for the community. And not just for people living now, but for generations in the future.
Great. Joseph?
What we need most of all are interested people that have some level of computer or technological literacy to help carry on this project. While we're trying to get it started, we ultimately want to distribute this project. We want high school students, we want college students to be able to take ownership of the project and to do their own recordings that we can ultimately make available through our website so that there is this sense of ownership and involvement that really helps to make these sorts of digital scholarly
How
projects.
could they reach you, people in Michigan or Virginia or California or Toronto? How they could reach you?
They can reach us through our primary website, which is syriacheritage.cua.edu. And we will also make sure that all of our personal contact information is available through that page so that people can contact us directly with questions or volunteerism.
Great. End up with you, Ryan.
I don't know that I can add much more than that. We're just looking for partners, we're looking for community members, we're looking for people who are eager to have their own stories recorded or who want to be involved in the recording process.
And what kind of story?
Any kind of story.
Any kind of story.
Any kind of story. What was your favorite dish when you were growing up?
I see. What can you, are you going to shade and what kind of suffering they have and what kind of hardship they went through it till they got here?
Absolutely, absolutely. All of our questions are designed to provide the opportunity for whoever's being interviewed to interview in the way that they feel most comfortable. So we don't want to be asking questions that might be traumatizing to someone, but if they've had a rough experience and they want to share about that, then we definitely want to record that. We want to hear it. But we also want to hear what their life was like before they left. We want to hear what their life was like as they were leaving. We want to hear what their life is like now as well.
Well, thanks to all of you. Honestly, what you're doing, it's a great job. You know, we had the Chaldean Culture Center or the Arab American Museum, and we charge those, you know, because we need more, not just the community to know about their heritage and about histories and all that. We need the community at large. We need an average American to look at the website and see who they are, those ethnic minorities, they come from the Middle East, what kind of rich heritage they have,
Yes.
what kind of, they contribute so much to the history and to the world society. We like them to go to the kind of website and read about it. And honestly, that will build a better bridges between those ethnic minority, those communities, and the community at large. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank
it's a
you.
privilege.
Sure. Dear reviewer, that was my interview with Robin. If you state your last name too,
My
we're
name-
gonna show it in a
Yeah.
yeah.
Robin Darling Young.
Yeah, and Joseph
Joseph Andrew Coit and stuff.
and Ryan.
Ryan Craig.
Thank you, dear viewer, for and I mention again, we need your help to work with them, because at the end, the project they have is going to serve many people, and not just the community, as I mentioned, but people from outside the community, and we need that. We need everybody to know about our heritage, our language, the way we lived before, our history. So with your help, I think they'll be able to put this website. Thanks for watching. Good night.